Welcome to the Cozy Corner podcast. We hope that you're having a wonderful day and week. I'm sad because this is our last episode. We're going to be recording together.
You go back to Guatemala.
But I'm going to cherish it to the fullest, and it just makes me more excited to see what's to come in the future when I move back to Texas.
I know, seriously. This season has been so much fun. This past week, we had our first giveaway through Instagram, so be sure to be following us there and join in on that next week. And we've been able to record together for the first time ever of the 3 seasons. So that's been really huge. And today is a special event because we have our first male guest that we wanted to open up dialogue across genders. So we're really excited about that.
Yeah, this journey has been so much fun, and thank you guys for joining us today.
Yes, so our special guest is Sunny Bhatia, and we met in grad school. So we started grad school together 2016, 15?
15.
Yeah, okay. And me and Sunny, we've made movies together, we've made video content together, we've made so many memories, and he's been like a brother to me, and I just love him so much. And thank you so much. I'm so grateful for you to be on our show, be on, just this passion project that me and Darlene have, and talk about your fitness journey and get deep into that dialogue.
Yes, thank you so much, Sunny, for being here, being our first male guest. To all of our male listeners that maybe they can relate to you. So thank you so much for coming and welcome. So Sunny, why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself and let us know a little bit about you and what you're doing in life.
So my name is Sunny. I am a graduate student, technically, still working on my thesis film. I want to pursue film directing and producing somewhere in the future. So I'm currently working on that and trying my best to put all of my focus into that so I can accomplish that one day.
Awesome. That's exciting. I'm happy to hear. I know Gabby has told me so much about you and so many great things. So it's so good to have you here with us today.
So the question we always have for our special guest here at the Cozy Corner is to visualize for our podcast listeners, where are you and what are you doing when you feel most cozy?
Sitting at home in my jammies, under my cup, watching maybe a favorite movie of mine, nice little rain outside in the evening, and a nice cheap meal.
I was gonna say, I feel like you would definitely have your cozy snack with
yes,
cozy day.
Perfect. So we have talked about our fitness and health journey here on the podcast and what that entitles as a female. But today we want to spotlight something different from our experience and talk about what happens when you have reached your fitness goals and how your perspective has changed since that moment. And also what that journey is like after reaching those goals.
We are so happy to have a male on this show as a guest because I think there is a good learning moment in conversation between female and male experiences that many people don't have.
So Sunny, the first question we have for you, what was your journey with fitness? Where did you start and how is it going?
So I started in my later teens. I always wanted to be an athlete. I was very attracted to team sports, football, basketball. My parents really didn't understand fully how to put me in those sports. So I had to really teach myself. And then my sophomore, junior year of high school, I started trying out for these teams and actually making them. So it started initially with sports. And then I wanted to continue that after my high school career was complete. So I don't know if it's just pure motivation or I had something to prove, but I carried over everything that I learned in high school into college and used that to stay on the fitness path. How is it going? It's going pretty decent. I use it now today as a stress reliever. My field of work can be very stressful. I know you guys can definitely attest as content creators. And sometimes getting away from all of that is, some people may think that, going home and resting and, having, some nice food and enjoying a nice TV show is sort of, your time away from it. But sometimes putting a little bit of pressure on your body physically can also do that for you. And it has done that for me. Mm-hmm. So I use it as a stress reliever. I've made a lot of friends in this journey that I'm very thankful for. And I hope to continue that now that I'm like almost done with school and moving on to the professional world.
Yes. And so with, let's say, oh gosh, so it's been like a decade of your journey. So what challenges have you faced mentally with your mind and your body, like coinciding? Have you had any challenges with that, of like growing into the fitness world and things like that?
So I consider myself to be lucky in the sense that when I first started training, when I first started getting into this journey of fitness, I had one goal in mind, and that was I want to play football again. My career in high school didn't last very long. I played my junior year and senior year. Mm-hmm. And I know deep down I could have done better. I wasn't as good of an athlete as I wanted to be. And even though I improved throughout those 2 seasons, there was always a sour taste in my mouth that I wanted to get rid of. In maybe college or like somewhere down the line, I wanted to right that wrong that I felt I had done in high school. So my mother was the one who signed me up for a gym. I had begged her because I saw this corner store, it looked like a corner store, and there was no like real name to the place. It just said gym on the top. Uh-huh. And I was like, 16 at the time. And I said, I need this. I need this desperately.
Yeah. You had like that question.
Yeah. She had to be there, and she, not knowing fully what I was trying to get into, she signed me up. And while I was there, I met a guy who's become a very good friend of mine, who started out as a mentor because he saw me and he could tell that I didn't know what I was doing. Uh-huh. Daryl John. And he's actually a retired narcotics cop from DC. And he's the one that actually showed me the real way of doing this. Right. So when you speak of challenges, it was trying to match his energy and trying very hard not to disappoint him, because I was in a situation, like I said, I wasn't very good at what I was trying to do. I wasn't a good athlete. And he was putting me through the ringer every single day. There were no easy days with him. I still remember some days that I would be so exhausted. We would work out it was a 24-hour gym, right? Uh-huh. And there was no AC and no heater in this place. All old school equipment, really rugged individuals would go there to train.
Yeah.
So we would work out late at night. And I remember days where I would be so exhausted that on my way home, I would actually lean my head and my back on the back of the seat of the car seat just so I could get home. And I'm steering like this.
Oh my gosh.
Because he's literally like it was like trial by fire through him. Like he was the one that was putting me through this, but it taught me so much. Initially, I just wanted to be done with it. Like I was like, I don't know if this is worth it. But for some reason, I just kept, like he just kept helping me, and I would see progress, even any little progress I would see. So I go through all of that.
And I feel like there's like the stigma of like guys, like in terms of like even like weight loss, like lose weight so much faster, or were you on a like nutritional like diet with this fitness journey, or were you just like, you know how like some people say like, oh, you can eat all you want if you work out really hard, but that in that beginning stages, what was that like for you? Be honest.
I was definitely one of those people, Gabby, who was like, I'm putting in a lot of work. I can eat a little bit. I can eat whatever I want, right? So
versus
like
now you're more like conscious of like nutrition and like how that plays a huge part in like muscle building and stuff like that. Okay.
100%. I grew up in a 100% Indian household. So, you know, mom is not gonna allow you to eat, you know, bland chicken and rice and like whatever you think you should be eating to get your physical right. So you're gonna eat obviously what she's gonna cook, and what she's gonna cook is gonna be absolute, and you're gonna do it multiple times in the day. So what I didn't realize back then was that I was unconsciously undercutting all the work that I was putting in. But I had to.
Well, you were under your parents' like home, so there's like, you know, things that you just can't control with that.
Of course. Like I went in not really studying this world. I just wanted to play football, and I was like, I got to get stronger. I got to get faster. I got to get more explosive. So for me, training was like, my mind always thought that training was the one thing that was going to get me there. But it like you said, it's everything, right? It's how what you do outside of the training that supports the growth.
Yeah.
And initially in my journey, I wasn't there.
You can go.
What I was just going to say, what struck me about you mentioning that when you're in high school and you're starting this fitness journey, and you said that it was so hard that you thought, why am I doing this? What was it that kept you going? Because I feel like a lot of people, they get started and they go into that same hole where they're like, what is this? Like,
if they don't see results right away.
Yeah. So what kept you going?
I knew that eventually it would work out.
Okay.
You had patience.
Yeah. When I was a little bit younger, like around maybe 15, I sort of had a dream of somebody telling me that the only way that I was going to get anywhere, like the only way that I was going to accomplish my goal, was hard work and pure intentions. So that kind of stuck with me from that moment. Right. And like, I'm not going to sit here and say that I didn't want to quit. Like, I didn't want to be done with it. Like, it was too brutal for somebody of my age to be dealing with, but I knew eventually it would work out, because I'm not in this for the wrong reasons.
Yeah, for sure.
So like you said, Gabby, patience. Like I just figured that it would be fine.
Right. And so that's just high school. So graduate in high school, you get into college. When you're transitioning, you know, so many people, like, it's this running joke that the freshman 50, the freshman 15, like, but you continued throughout your undergrad of just like, that was your sole mindset for your personal gain, shall we call it, and you stuck to it. And like, how was that different mentally for you as well, like maturing in age, getting this higher education, and then also like still with that discipline? Because I think some people, like, life changes and then that fitness goal or fitness structure, it crumbles because of their routine. So how did you combat that mentally?
I got into a school that I figured I could play football in. And it was like the next stage, right? So when I'm in high school, I'm anticipating getting to a place where I can actually prove myself. All right, now I'm finally here. Now, what do I have to do at this stage to get to where I want to go, right?
Mhm.
So my first semester there at Rutgers University, again, it was the same mindset, same concept. You train as much as you can in the middle of all of your classes. Whatever needs to be done, and you could be tired, you could be exhausted, you could be not feeling it, but it's got to be done. That continued in my first semester, and I was lucky enough to run into another mentor of mine who is now one of my all-time best friends, Ryan Wilkins. He was trying to play football at Rutgers too. He actually got a lot farther than I did because he was a physical specimen. Still is. He's a personal trainer now in New Jersey.
Nice.
But he was so fast, Gabby, that his nickname was 4-3. Now that was the time that he ran the 40-yard dash in 4.3 seconds. So they gave him that nickname, right? Yeah. So he's like we're about the same age. Maybe he's a couple months older than me, but he literally took me under his wing. Aww. And like guided me, right? Because he had more of an idea, because he was a track star in high school. He was a football star in high school. He was gifted with so many physical attributes, which if you see him now, you can see what that turned into. He's like in his field. I wasn't ready. I wasn't prepared. And there were a lot of mistakes that I made, and he really guided me to the right direction. And a lot of that had to do with hard talks. Me coming in late for training when I'm, it has nothing to do with me caught up with school or anything. It's just, I'm going to make it there. Mm-hmm. Those little things, he would sit down with me and tell me like, hey man, if you're trying to get if you want to get what you're trying to go for, you can't do these little things wrong. Mm-hmm. Coming, not doing the full rep or full work, whatever the case. Yeah. Like he guided me during that time, and my entire time at Rutgers, we were together, and like he did a lot to get me to the next level. Yeah. Wow. And I'm forever grateful. We still keep in touch. A very, very good guy. And yeah, I don't know what I would do without his support. Mm-hmm. Even though I couldn't play football at Rutgers, but like for him to get me in the right mindset, like even that is like, it's priceless. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And I feel like you're in your 20s. Like it's probably so hard for people in their 20s to have that kind of discipline, to like go and just like struggle and be sore and all of that. I mean, I'm like doing that now with my workouts, and I'm like, oh my gosh, like I can't even imagine having like a fitness goal like you, of like being an like big time athlete that you are now. I'm just like, kudos.
Yeah.
So totally. Mind over matter is like harder than how to say it, so then I just like feel like we need a timeline, because you get to Miami, get into film school, woo, with me, Aaron, April, Kwame, all of our group of friends that we call the crew. And I feel like I remember meeting you for the first time, and I was like, oh my God, this like guy is like in shape, blah, blah, blah. And you, I mean, now that I know you now, I'm like, holy crap. Like, you're like, oh my God, no, like I was not there yet. And then I think I like saw the like time where cause what is it? Like you bulked up, then you like shredded. And then obviously I've known you now as like, oh my gosh, like every point of you is like hard muscle. So I'm like, it's cool to have seen that like throughout 5 years of me living in Miami. Was that hard? Because I feel like film school, I think I've talked a little bit on the podcast, like it's brutal. Like it's so time consuming. I remember like you would get so antsy when we were on sets for like more than a weekend's, stay, and you would like try to even leave set to go work out. At that time, I didn't get it. Like I was like, he's obsessed, but recognizing as it's your place to just like be in zen for a little bit and like continue, because this is like constantly a work in progress type of thing. And so just to kind of finish off the like mental challenges, what was that like going through grad school, as brutal as it was it hard to like shred, or was that more like nutrition? Like just so our listeners are like kind of know the process of that.
So even before grad school, there was a 4-year period where when I came back from undergrad, where I wasn't doing any education.
Right. You're a little older than me, Darlene.
Yeah, that period was very tough because I kept getting rejected from film schools.
Mm-hmm.
And during that, like, another sidebar, like,
yeah,
my father, I never spoke about me being a director, and I had always thought that he wanted me to be a doctor, and I went to Rutgers to study pre-med, and I was not having a good time at all in my education, and my grades reflected that. I graduated with a 3.1 GPA, when I know I could have done so much better. And after graduation, I just told my dad, I was like, I want to be a director, and I don't want to be a doctor. Come to find out, he's always wanted to be a director, and nobody supported him, and he was always into movies, and we had never spoken about that love from him ever. So he was like, I never got the support. You're going to get all the support that you need to get there.
Oh.
So that 4-year period when I wasn't getting into film schools, he along with my mom, and my 2 little sisters, but primarily like him and my mom, they kept pushing, like they kept telling me like, okay, all right, you got rejected, fine. What did you do wrong? Let's fix it. Let's do it again. Let's try again. And like 4 years, like certain schools were rejecting me both semesters. So I'm getting slapped in the face with no's twice a year from some places.
It's hard.
And yeah, they just kept telling me like, it's fine. Just find out where you can improve. What did you do differently that you could shift and maybe have a better chance, whatever. That transferred over into my training. Like they weren't even thinking about that. They were focused on the film school part of it, but even them pushing me that way helped me in my training, because like I said, when I wanted to end it completely early on, I said, eventually it's going to be okay. That's literally what I kept saying to myself. I'll get there.
Yeah.
Either now or later. I remember my mom would always tell me that like every single thing in your life happens during a time when it's supposed to, not a second before, not a second after. Right. So if I'm getting rejected now, then it's okay, because there is a time when it's going to happen. You know why? Because my intentions are 100% pure and I'm working as hard as I possibly can. Right.
Yeah.
So finally, when I do get into University of Miami, right, that's when I was like, okay, this right here, it seems to me like something that could work for me, right? Because I'm studying to make movies and they have this really great football program, right? And I was like, okay, so it's meant to be. This is what all of these years of like struggle get towards, right?
Yeah.
Which goes back to what you were saying, Gabby. Like I stayed away from everyone, like especially my first semester, almost first year. Like I was very like distant, because I was so close. I felt so close to my goal that I was like, all right, this is like, I like subconsciously I was like getting rid of distractions.
Yeah, I remember you said that. Yeah.
Yeah, like it was very stupid. It was
But
very.
I mean, you're also like, you waited 4 years, so you're like,
I
I can't mess
needed.
this up.
I didn't realize how much I needed you.
Yeah.
Like you guys made me better human beings. Like you made me a better guy, right?
Yeah.
And I that is what I was missing, right?
Mhm.
But early on, when I got here, it was like, this is it. So I'm here. I'm gonna be in the gym every single day if I have to. Like nothing changed from Rutgers. Me and Ryan, we were training 2-3 times a day in between classes. Here, I was doing the same thing. I was going to the gym in the morning. I would go to class, then go back, because I was like, this is it, right? And you did catch me at a time when I was like shifting over, right?
Mhm.
So what did I tell you that the one issue that I had when I was training back home? It was my mom's cooking, right?
Yeah. Yeah, that's true.
So that's the one thing I don't have here. So I get to focus more on, okay, let's try to eat a little bit cleaner,
Mhm.
right? Again, also, I forgot to mention the 4 years that I was back home after Rutgers, I joined Daryl,
Uh-huh.
and he again took me under his wing and sort of,
off.
yeah, we literally carried on where we left off. And he was there for 4 years, also supporting, saying, hey, it's gonna be all right, you're gonna be good, you're gonna be good.
Mhm.
So when I came here again, I was alone.
Yeah.
And then I ran into some other people who then helped me. My trio of boys, one of them, Daryl, I'm sorry, not Daryl, Dwayne Hoylett, he used to play football here at UM. So he and I were like working out on the same platform. I don't know what happened. Like, I don't know how we met, but I saw him doing his thing and I was like, all right, I need to learn this. So I introduced myself, he introduced himself, and then from then on, we would train every single day together, right? And then my other boys, Felix and Q, like Felix, it was a great story, because like a few weeks after Dwayne and I had come together, like Felix and us, we like locked eyes on something that all of us saw, and that kind of brought us together for some. I don't know what happened, but when this trio came together, it like they helped me like continue like pushing towards what I was trying to do, because I made my intentions known to them too. Like, hey, I'm here to study to make movies.
Yeah.
That's my passion, and then I have this other thing that I want to pursue, which I think I can do, which is play football. And Dwayne, who had been in the game, who had played for the school, saw something in me to say, hey, I think you can do this. So they took me under their wing, but like we worked out together.
Yeah, y'all became peers. Yeah.
But ultimately, like they did more for me. A lot of the people in my life, Gabby, like you guys have done way more for me than I could ever do for you.
It's not true.
So
humble.
like I've gotten so much support and like guidance and love and respect from people that I don't know I can match or have matched or have even done anything close. And it's the same with these boys. And literally, like just before we started this podcast, we said happy holidays to one another.
Yeah.
Hugh's wife just gave birth to his second child, a son, and we were congratulating him on that. So like my early part of my film school career, it was them.
Yeah.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And the idea of playing football was very, very real at that point, because I had literally barged into the facility. I had told them, say, hey, I want to do this. I was looking at myself in the mirror and I was seeing a different guy. And I was like, okay, we might have something here. My favorite college football coach got hired to coach here. I was like, God, is this real? Like all this is like, seems like.
And your like performance is just as equal to the football players that you're seeing in the gym. I remember you told me that. So it's like, you were just like, okay, like where is the confirmation of that? And so what happened?
Gabby, I'm training with them and I'm like breaking them down.
Yeah.
They're keeping up with them or I'm breaking them down. Like they're making me better. I'm surprising them.
Mhm.
They're great athletes. Obviously, they play for the University of Miami. They're freaking amazing athletes. But for somebody who's like training independently to get there is somehow keeping up with them. Like it felt very good.
Mhm.
You know? And I'm there like about to fill out this paperwork and I'm like, okay, this is gonna work. It's time. And then the NCAA says I can't play football.
And what
so like my eligibility, they said had run out. My clock had started when I first started as a full-time student at Rutgers, and for some reason, like it had run out.
That's right. Okay, I'm remembering.
I actually played in a couple semi-pro leagues during the 4 years that I wasn't in school. That kind of made me a little untouchable, right? Because the word semi-pro.
Yeah.
The way the leagues were set up, like I'm paying league fees, I'm paying equipment fees, I'm playing with no health insurance. Like I want to do this so badly that I said to myself, like, even if this means me putting myself on the line with no health insurance, I'll do it. So I played semi-pro for a couple years, and they didn't like all that did not jive with them. So I contacted NCAA numerous times that first year that I wasn't really like, I was very distant with you guys. I tried so hard. I begged them. I got down to saying, Gabby, like, I won't play. Like, I'm not gonna. I won't be out on the field. Just let me practice with them.
Yeah.
Like that's where we were. Like I'm begging them to let me practice because I can impress them. I felt that I could impress them.
Yeah. Yeah.
And kept saying no. So I didn't even make it to the tryouts.
Right.
And it really was not a very good feeling for a while.
Of course.
As I can imagine. Yeah. Anybody, you work so hard.
And that's like a dream that you were trying to reach, but it's very inspiring listening to you and seeing how, what is the word, like motivated. Yeah. Motivated you are in doing what you want. And I think that.
And letting no one stop you. Like,
yeah,
look at you now, you're still working out with athletes. It didn't let you, like, it didn't make you smaller, it didn't make you hinder from the gym or whatever. And I think a lot of people would have gotten discouraged and just said, fuck it, So I think it's
very inspiring.
Yeah.
I just, I don't think at any point after getting all of those no's did I like stop training. Because even then I was thinking to myself that, okay, if they don't let me play, I'll maybe go back to semi-pro. And I'll need to train for semi-pro. Like I was still holding on to that dream, which I think kept me going. Right. And then like, obviously, Gabby, we got close, movies together, and we spent a lot of time together that I'm begging to have something like that again back with you at some point.
Same.
But like, even during the course of making those movies, like I had tried out for a semi-pro team here in Florida, and they absolutely loved what I brought to the table. This was while we were prepping for my thesis film and our our mutual friend Aaron Gordon, his thesis film also.
This was back in like 2018. Yeah.
Yeah, 2018. Yeah, 2018. I tried out, and they really liked what I was doing, but the movies were taking all of my time.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Like I had to go to India directly after shooting the first one to work on my thesis. And by that time, the season was already in play, and I was not going to sacrifice my film goal for a season in semi-pro.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So like at that point, I just was like, okay, I don't know if there is anything else that I could have done, but from the way I see it, I exhausted all of the options that I saw in my face.
Yeah.
And if it means sacrificing this to make sure that I can be the best movie director, best storyteller that I can be, so be it. So from that moment on, like I had to tell those coaches like, hey, I can't play for you. And like, I have to go to India and I have to like work on these films. Like I gave all of my time to the movies.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like you still maintain, I mean, I know that having the group of friends we hung around with, we went out a lot and did a lot of eating out, but I feel like you always for yourself were always like, okay, this week I'm like no cheat meals. Like you were, again, going back to like, this all began with your fitness journey and you wanting to have a stronger, faster body. So it's like, you've always maintained that discipline, no matter how crazy we got with all our crazy treats and sweets and things. You were always so just like internally, like you were saying, pure intentioned with like, you know what you're doing for your body and like, you know what, you know, you had to do. And so the next few questions we have for you is just that, like, I think your football story, thank you so much for sharing it, because I think it's gonna probably inspire someone to just like go exhaust all their resources they have for their dream, because I think it's worth it, no matter what the, you know, end call is. Yeah. But for now, just being Sunny, a guy in the world with, you know, a body that is like mainstream, like, oh my gosh, so many men probably have, you know, hashtag goals for like a body like yours. We kind of want to ask you some questions of like what like a day in the life is like. And like, because I think so many people who are at the beginning of their fitness journey, like let's say other guys are like, like what, they just probably have so many questions. So
They have this image in their mind where they want to go.
yeah.
But you know, what do I have to do to get there? So the question we have is, what has been different socially for you as a person with your body as hashtag goals?
Like a lot, it's just how people view me. I do sometimes feel like when I'm walking down the street and I see people like take their phones out in their cars and take pictures, or just like I notice how people look at me, and it seems it does get a little zoo animalish sometimes.
Mhm.
I'm not like bitter about it. I'm not complaining about it. It's like it's par for the course, I guess.
Right.
But it's just how people see me that I notice very much.
Because your intention.
I haven't changed as a person. I've always tried to, and I think during our very deep one-on-one conversations, Aaron really talks about how if this is a gift that's given to you, use it to help people.
Mm-hmm.
So I try my best to, you know, make people feel as included as possible. Yeah. Because especially in this campus gym here, or anywhere on campus, like if I talk to you, then it's kind of like a thing, like, oh my God, like this dude is like saying whatever. But like at least you feel good on the inside that I, you know, and I can do something to help that.
Yeah.
pretty much that's it, really.
Because I feel like there are so many people, like I've known people that they get to like the body, this, you know, the body of fitness goals, and they change as a person, and then they start, you know, getting clicks. And these are like adults that we're talking about, not just like, you know, high school people. And I always found it so inspiring and so humbling that you just were so inclusive of like who you surrounded yourself with. It didn't have to be only people that you hung out with at the gym. I mean, I think that's great. That's a part of your community, right? But I think it was always just like it made you just so down to earth. And I think for our listeners out there, just to like always remind yourself that like your mind is always still yours. Your mind doesn't change. And I think that's, you know, someone listening be like, okay, like Sunny didn't have to change his personality just because he got fit. Like that doesn't matter. That's not you. That wasn't your purpose of getting fit, was to like be a different Sunny.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
I grew up with no friends, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like I was ostracized. I didn't feel like I belonged in my school. I spent a lot of time in my parents' liquor store, and I helped them, which thinking back now is the greatest thing that ever happened to me. And I thank them every single day for giving me such an amazing childhood. But I know to this day, I remember how I felt back then, right? And my daily life goal is to make sure that people around me don't feel that way.
yeah. Yeah.
Right. And it's, if I can now, like, I could have gone either way. I could have been angry and bitter. And now that I'm where I am, now I'm going to treat everybody like how I got treated.
Yeah.
I could have easily been that guy. And,
Right.
and, you know, I'm sympathetic to people like that, because like, imagine what you went through when you know, the experiences you went through. I'm sympathetic, but I couldn't allow myself to do that because I know how I felt.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
So if I can use where I am today to make people feel better about themselves or just feel good in general,
Mm-hmm.
that to me is the fulfilling part of it.
Yeah.
Definitely.
It's so interesting when you brought up, I mean, I guess even I remember people being like, we'd walk down the street and it's like, oh my gosh, you're like, you lift, bro. And like, you know, they automatically say this jargon to you. But isn't that so sad that like someone gets out their phone to take a picture, and that must feel so, yeah, like you're this thing, this creature that's like, you're just another human. And and it's like the opposite, like so season 1, we talked about like our relationship with our bodies. And I talked about how like I was walking on campus going to the gym, and like this group of guys like started mooing at me. Like it happened. Like I think more people are like, oh my gosh, like you should never, you know, a fat girl, big girl walking down the street, like don't make fun of her. But like someone taking out their phone at a fit guy, like that's just as like ostracizing of like, I'm just another human, like go live your life. Like it's like weird. So I think, thank you for bringing that up. I know that's like a vulnerable like thing, but it's also like to our listeners, like don't have stigmas. People shouldn't have stigmas of like fitness people. Like people look at you, they shouldn't think, oh, he's probably a jerk.
Mm-hmm.
Like why? Because there's other fit guys that are probably jerks. Well, those are them, and that's not you. So
I get that a lot. I get that a lot.
Annoying.
Yeah, I mean, it's,
which you're like, I don't know, I have more sass on it. I'm like, oh, when people, I'm like, he's not.
He's like, whatever happens all the time.
But that's such a good way to look at life.
Yeah, I'm not, I used to have a problem with that. Like at first I actually tried to perpetrate that. It was very easy when people would mention like, hey, you're like, oh, they look at you like you're the jerk. And it's easy to say, yeah, you know what, I am. And you act in ways to sort of bolster that thought, right? But then came a time when I was actually like, no, I'm not that bad of a guy, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I want to explain that to people. But now I'm at a point where I'm like, I'm going to try to be as good to people as I possibly can be. And I have select few people around me who know truly who I am. And if they're with me, then I have no issues. You could think whatever you want.
Yeah.
Uh,
You have your
but
community.
that I'm a guy. I'm a good guy, and I'm wishing you well. Right?
Right.
Like even though you think that way, I'm wishing you well, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's all you got to do. I like that a lot of what you're saying. Also, you have all these mentors and you have your community around you, which is also something that we talk a lot about here on the podcast, is having your community and choosing the people who are going to just make you stronger, or who are going to help you reach the goals that you want in life, or help you be a better person. Choosing the right people. So it's like, that's kind of this whole thing that I'm getting from you, is that you have your circle of people, or your mentors that you're always looking at. So that's something that I think a lot of our listeners will get a lot out of.
Yeah.
To remind themselves that having that community around them is super important.
I'm very lucky. I didn't actively pursue. I just like the gods just put these people in my way, and
it's natural. I think it's like, when you're not even expecting it, good things, good people, you were open to have them come into your life. You could have very easily isolated yourself. So I feel like everything happens for a reason. So
I knew I was lost. I knew I was lost. I was like, I know where I want to go. I just don't know how to get there. Like, I'm lost. And these guys are trying really hard to get me on the right path, and I need to stay with that.
Yeah. But
so I agree with you. Like, you have to accept that first. Like, even when I was getting rejected from film schools, like, my parents were always like, what did you do? What can you fix? Right? So once you accept that there's certain things that you don't understand, or you don't have a grasp of, or you cannot do, you'll get the help. Like, that's literally at that point, like I knew going out, I was like, I'm not going to be able to do this by myself.
Yeah. I feel like when you say like you were lost at that time, and it's like, I feel like if anybody's listening that's lost in their fitness journey or finding community to get to be in a healthier community, it's like the only other thing of being lost, like you're already lost, is to be found. And so you just have to like manifest that and pray on that. So yeah,
absolutely.
Supporters on that. So, okay, moving forward. Another question that we kind of came up with is, do you, Sunny, ever ask yourself, okay, I'm work out pretty good, I'm like mentoring others, you're in a position now that you kind of mentor others, what goals do you have? Do you have any more goals? Or like, is it like, what are any more goals of fitness? Is there such a thing once you've kind of reached a peak, or is it always just continuous?
It is always continuous, but it's not looking a certain way. It's being a better person. Okay, like, I don't use this part of my life just to physically better myself.
Right.
Like, this is a place where I meditate. I'm looking this way because I'm actually in here. So like this is a place where I speak to the Almighty, or the universe, whoever it is that you think is above us.
Yeah.
Like, I take this time to get in touch with my feminine side, which Hinduism is like, the Godhead in Hinduism, half of it is a male and half they don't even call female. They just say Shakti, which is like power or strength. And that's the feminine side.
Yeah.
So when I'm in here, I'm working on that, right? Like, I'm working on my like mental strength.
Yeah.
So I know that I have, like, during the summers when I'm here and they have the camp with the kids here at university, I see how they look at me.
You're like a
right?
superhero to them, probably.
I need to continue to just be good enough to set the right example for them.
Yeah.
Right. If I can, like, I'm not saying that, oh, I'm going to be that guy, but if somebody's looking at me when they need somebody and I'm the guy that they look at, it should be a good enough example to be like, all right, this is right. So like, I know I want to have kids in the future. Like, I want to be able to like be strong enough for them, like mentally and physically, so I could like impart some type of knowledge. I don't know.
You're
Like
going
that,
to. You're already
like,
so wise, and this is like such
like
a
that to me, that's the goal now, Gabby. Like it's
yeah.
not.
No,
I
that's
never
great to hear.
I never did any of this for looks.
I know you
I
did.
I never did any of this for looks. I just want to repeat that. Like never did I go in and I said I want to get abs and I want to get arms.
You
It
get
was
attention and all that, yeah.
faster, explosive, stronger, faster, quicker, agile. Like I wanted to be an athlete, right?
Yeah.
So whatever came physically is a byproduct of just that.
Yeah.
And even when like the young kids here ask me, like I tell them, like, don't do it for looks. Please don't
do
like
it for status.
Yeah, don't do it for status, don't do it for looks, because if you do, those things are so cheap that like looks are so cheap that doctors have a price tag on it.
Yep. Wow.
Right?
No, that's so true.
Like there is a price to looking a certain way. Like there's actually a value to it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But a good heart, a good spirit, like those things are priceless.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, this is what we stand for at the Cozy Corner. Yeah.
Definitely.
So you have to like I tell this to like anybody that like, especially like the young guys that keep asking me, like a lot of them, they have very good spirits and they have very good hearts, right? And I'm like, that's half, you're halfway there.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's people out here spending years, spending their entire lives trying to get that half by a certain way, or like, you know, being a certain way, and they never get there.
Mm-hmm.
You have, so all that other stuff is going to come with patience, and it's going to come with persistence.
Yeah.
Yeah. All that stuff is going to it's going to come to you.
Yeah.
So that's who I'm like, that's what I'm doing now. It's just a stress reliever, and it's something that I could like.
Bandit joined the podcast. Sorry, he was whining. He heard your voice.
Oh,
who is this man? He needed to see your face. No,
I wait for the in-person.
Yes, I know the in-person kisses, Sunny. You'll love him.
You're gonna love him.
No, I think this is literally why when I told Darlene that this podcast episode was going to be so good, is because you didn't do it for looks. You didn't do it for status. And so that if anybody's listening that is going to the gym because of an influencer they see, because they want to look like somebody, that's like how you said, that's cheap. Like your soul and your spirit and who you are and the person, like when we die, it's not gonna be because of
our looks are not gonna go with us.
Exactly. So
use this journey to better, to improve, to maintain those sides, right? Yeah. Like your spirit and your heart and your goodness and your, like, even just being here to just de-stress and like focus on, you know, the universe or whatever, like get away from all of the mundane daily stuff. Like even that betters you. Like that's you're working on yourself.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, what's helped me so much is like I've had on the podcast, they know all about it, but with my anxiety has gone up, it releases just like those chemicals in our body that make me feel so good and more relaxed. And, you know, the world's a crazy place. So like try to, find, they always say, you know, like move your body, do something that makes you feel good. And it's like, that's.
And like we're saying too, it's not just about your body, it's about your mental health too.
Yeah. Helps with that as well.
Yeah. So I know I know that you've said a lot of really good statements and advice, but what advice do you have for people that are at ground zero with their fitness journey, that want to start their journey? What advice do you have?
Number one, start.
Hmm.
That's all you have to do.
Yes.
Is start. Because that beginning can give birth to a love that will last you a lifetime. Two, have a goal in mind, but do not focus on the goal in route to that goal.
Mhm.
Okay. Hare Krishna in the Bhagavad Gita mentioned that our duty as human beings is to only do good work. The results of those works are left to the Almighty. So you will get what your works will give you, right?
Yeah.
So all you have to do is just do. You just have to do with the pure intentions and like with no malice. Please don't have any malice, because that maliciousness can really ain't something that's very good.
Right.
Exactly.
Okay. And you want this to stay good. You want this to be positive for you and for those around you.
Yeah.
So start, please, just work, just do it, just do, and don't worry about having those arms and seeing the improvements daily. That they'll come.
Going on the daily. Very good. Thank you so much, Sunny.
Thank you so much.
I don't know if there's any last words you'd like to leave before we close out the podcast.
Gabby, I love you.
Oh, I love you too.
I love Gabby too.
And Darlene, it's so nice to meet you. The face behind the voice, you did not disappoint at all.
And isn't her laugh great? It's so contagious.
Yes.
I'm so happy to meet you too. When Gabby told me about you last week and we called you, I was like, oh, this is gonna be good.
It's gonna be good.
So nice. Can't wait to meet you in person one day.
Yes.
Feeling is mutual. Absolutely.
For this week's intention, we want you to place some healthy habits for yourself.
We know that during December and the holiday season, it can be super hard to stay healthy and keep active. But we think that if you place those healthy habits in your daily schedule, it can be easier to keep up with your health and fitness goals. So thank you guys so much for listening to the Cozy Corner podcast, where two besties come together to reminisce, catch up, chat, and discuss many topics all 20-something-year-olds face.
And 30
something
because of Sunny. We hope you've enjoyed this episode. Feel free to write us on Instagram at the.cozycornerpod or send us an email at thecozycornerpod@gmail.com.
Just gotta mention, we're almost in our 30s, so
I know.
it's all good.
We're gonna have before change, me though.
We're gonna have to change
I'm still
that
28.
Soon. Have a beautiful week and see you next time on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or YouTube.
God bless, take care, and adios, amigos.